ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy CT, and I am here with Mama's favorite child, Axx Clover. We're here to talk about wrestling, life. He's one of my really good friends down in Florida. We're probably going to be talking about other stuff. We're talking about how we love the fact that we're amazing uncles and
That's right.
how much cats are dicks and dogs are amazing, besides my animals. But
That's true.
how are you today? I got hair in my mouth.
CT, I'm doing amazing, man. And I appreciate you having me on here to chat with you and everything. And yeah, we can talk about wrestling, cats, aliens, whatever you want to talk
I
about.
do have another special guest with us.
Oh, yeah?
I have Mama here.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, you know what? It's funny. I have something right here because I was just cutting together a little promo the other day. Got this right here. Hope I don't knock over everything. Yeah. Got the mask and I had it
Oh,
on one of the boots. So I was doing
nice.
these little quick cuts with it. Yeah, I still carry the mask with me to the ring for every match. And then a lot of times I'll buckle it on the middle turnbuckle so
Hmm.
Mama can watch, and it gives me something to play off of is talk to Mama because you know we talk about here like Mama knew she was going to pass, Rex was going to pass, and we talked about it. And I said, "Man, I got these ideas." And he said, "I want to be a member for as long as I can." I said, "Gotcha." I said, "Gotcha, man." I said, "Gotcha." So still carrying with me. It's a homage to those who know, and those who know seem to dig it, and those who don't just think I'm talking to a
Right.
mask in the corner. So
Yeah.
it kind of works on both levels.
I'm
Kind of
about
works on
to
both levels.
actually get a tattoo. So for those who don't know, we're talking about our friend Rex Bacchus, who passed
Hmm.
away a few years ago. He was
Hmm.
a member of the Clover clan, my roommate and best friend.
Hmm.
I'm about to actually get a tattoo of a ladybug because with him and Jamie, their things were orange ladybugs.
Hmm.
And it always seemed like when I was at my lowest, especially after he had passed, I would
Yeah.
always see orange ladybugs.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm going to get one right here. And then what I want is to get the spots to be RB. Yeah, RB.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. Rex was one of a kind for sure. It just the cancer came back and he ended up, it was colon cancer, I believe, and it metastasized in his liver and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah. And all right, he beat it and it came back and it was bad and it was rough. I actually for a while there, I'm gonna give credit to Zach on this one. So I was kind of because we were getting hot and having fun and then it hit and then it just took a lot of the fun out of wrestling after he passed, and I didn't know what I was going to do because I was in the Clover Clan, just the pretty boy of the group, if you will, and we had all these
Yeah.
things planned. But when he passed, I was in a kind of a surprise. Like I don't really know what to do if I want to do anything, and he actually had made a button that said "Mama's Boy," and that's what actually got the brain going with there. And I had my
Hmm.
ex, she put together the whole costume and outfit, and we kind of went back and forth with the jacket with the flesh words "Mama's Boy" on the back, and originally, it was the two mask. He had the Gacy
Hmm.
pogo mask,
Yeah.
the other one. But I just started rocking with the one
I
and
think I
carried on
have
and
the
talked
Gacy
to it.
mask here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's somewhere in here.
Oh, my earbud fell out. Don't hang up.
No worries.
All right. You
Like,
still hear me?
yeah, just like you
Okay.
said, it once Rex passed, I was jaded. Like I had
Yeah.
already decided like I was done wrestling just because my body couldn't handle the bumps
Hmm.
anymore. I have a bad
Yeah.
back, bad knees. But
Hmm.
now with me doing these podcasts and interviewing people,
Hmm.
it's starting to give me like I'm starting to fall back in love with wrestling, though now there's just way too much wrestling to watch. I'm
Yeah.
starting to get focused more on like the independent wrestling. So that's why I
Yeah.
started Pulse of the Ring. I wanted to interview independent wrestlers because I believe they don't get the recognition that the independent deserves. Everybody wants to
Yeah.
go to the WWE, AEW, and see them, but not too many people know like where to find local wrestling or like
Yeah.
who to look forward to seeing. So that's why
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's
and
so many. There is a massive there are a massive amount of independent wrestlers that I'll say that are probably better than some of the guys you'll see on TV. It's a lot of times it's right place, right time. You
Hmm.
know somebody. Everyone talks about it. There's some politics involved with wrestling and, kind of kissing butt here and there and everything. But yeah, so it's cool that you're spotlighting those independent guys because, I mean, some dudes need just a little more recognition. But at the end of the day, I say this about myself and humbly, if I may, like I've had a lot of guys who are names I've been in the ring with that have pulled me to the side and kind of put me over, and just knowing that I have the respect from those peers is cool on that
Hmm.
end. So, and I hope that other people, and I've heard some people say that when they talk about me behind my back, it's good things. So that's just kind of neat. So sometimes it's cool that you can get that recognition because that's what some independent wrestlers got to hang their hat on when you go, man, am I even making a difference? And whether it's
Hmm.
a peer or, there's a kid that buys your shirt and, wants like a hug or something, even though I'm a big bad cannibal, I've been a good guy for a little while.
Hey, sometimes
So
cannibals are nice.
yeah, yeah. Well, we're all meat, so,
That's true.
so yeah. So yeah, so that is cool that you're doing that because that can really buoy a lot of spirits in the game. And hopefully those people, I'm too old now, but some of those people that are still on the come up,
Hmm.
will get their shots and stuff like I see a buddy of mine wrestled in Ireland years ago, watching his career go up. And I'll put him over quick. LJ Cleary, he's amazing. So like watching him just keep getting booked and booked and booked and booked and come up, it's awesome. Especially when you see like you know too all these guys you work with on these independents and they get their shot at a MLW or a AEW and they start making regulars. I'm sure
Yeah.
we both got friends that work for those companies and it's cool, man. It is cool to see.
Like, because I go when AEW's in town, I'll always go to an AEW show, any wrestling show, really.
Hmm.
But like,
Hmm.
I love seeing people like that I've seen in Florida or just on the regular indies. I'm like, I gotta tell my fans, I'm like, I used to like either train with this person, I used to like do this with this person.
Yeah.
I'm like, this
Yep.
person's amazing. Which she always says that I always say good things about like wrestlers. I'm like, most of the people are good people.
Yeah.
Everybody had there's
Yeah.
some bad actors, but
Yeah.
for the most
And that
part,
goes for the
everybody.
small names and the big names. Like,
Hmm.
candidly, when I was doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes at MLW in the beginning, you meet these guys, and they're all cool, with the exception of one dude. And if you want to name names, I'll name names. Rex had a problem with him too. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, Jeff. Anyway, everyone else was cool as could be. He was kind of rude, which is a little all right.
I
But
guess his gimmick, he lives his gimmick.
I think so. I think so. I think he didn't want to even drop kayfabe around workers, which was kind of weird on that end. But yeah, it's good to see good people like or see Chico Adams. I mean, one of the absolute best dudes in wrestling. So
Hmm.
like that, I don't even see it right above me here. Where my
Yeah.
finger is. That's actually a framed picture of my dog Zeus that passed away. And was at a show one time, and it meant the world to me that he did this. So, love Chico Adams, and I had this old script from a Schwarzenegger movie
Hmm.
that my ex had given me because her grandfather worked in the movie industry.
Okay.
So it's a script for it was called 13. It ended up being called, I can't remember the name of the movie now. He's like they steal money. He's a kind of a bad guy. Anyway, I gave it to Chico. So next show he goes, "Hey, I got something for you." I thought it was just like a little memorabilia thing or
Hmm.
something, kind of neat and kitschy. Went to the car and he gave me that, and it was the exact picture of my dog that I wanted to do something to commemorate him with, and he just had gone out of his way to do that. And you go, how many times in your life do people do genuinely good things for other people? And I was like, oh, he's the absolute best. So to see him, you'll see him on everything. He'll be a
Oh yeah.
doctor one week on Raw, security the next week, coming out with Daddy by Nature. So Chico, just want you to know we love you. So
Oh,
you're doing
so
good, man.
on because I have this is my main podcast, and then I have another
Hmm.
one that I do with my brother and my cousin, and we're
Hmm.
all like all three of us love Chico, and we're always on Chico watch.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So
yeah.
anytime we
'Cause he'll
see
pop up. He'll
him,
pop up everywhere.
yeah, anytime we see him, we're just like Chico. We got Chico on Raw, we got
Yeah,
Chico on
yeah, yeah,
AEW.
yeah.
So, and I've actually had him. I interviewed him earlier in the year, and he's like a prior video.
Hmm.
And it's like like him, he's just an amazing person.
Yeah,
And like to see his success, like I want him to be able to go and have to quit his job that he's doing now and
yeah.
get paid just primarily with wrestling, whether it's AEW, WWE, MLW,
Yeah.
TNA, New Japan. Just I want
Yeah.
him to succeed
Yeah.
because he's put out that good energy that not too many people just in
Yeah.
general like give out.
Yeah, and talking about like wrestling, particularly in today's wrestling, he and it sound like the Chico put over hour here, but we love you, dude. But like he plays are we allowed to cuss in any way or
Yes. Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. So he plays the chicken shit heel, which he does it phenomenally. And he'll
Hmm.
go down and beg off on everything and do those things that your old school heels would do that everyone's too cool to do these days. So it's so much fun working with a heel that will do those things because it's easy to, as a babyface to do what you got to do then because
Yeah.
everybody hates this guy. Everybody wants to be the cool heel or the anti-hero in the today's age, and that's when you lose it and you're like, okay, it's just another one of the cool heels, huh?
Hmm.
And then you get cheered like you know Cena with his heel turn, which I think was a little ill-timed. Most people made, but like he, he's the cool heel now. Like he's done heelish things like kicked him in the nuts and stuff, but he's too cool.
I don't
And
even
he's saying
think
the truth and he's calling them out. He's like saying the real things. People are going to go, yeah, we are pieces of crap. You're right. It's like, what are you doing, man?
I don't
Yeah.
even think Cena is yes, he's a heel per se, but
Hmm.
no one was going to like boo him because this was his retirement tour.
Yeah.
It was very ill timed. I also think if The Rock didn't get involved, it might have
Yeah.
went a tad bit different.
Yeah.
But
Rock
he,
being the catalyst, though, kind of works where you're like, if you need a reason for Cena to turn, and we all know if they told a little different, we all know Cena's going to Hollywood.
hmm
Who would be the guy that could get him into Hollywood? It would be The Rock, you know? Like for years, the most highest paid actor, off now, and grossing films and stuff. So, like, you can tell that with The Rock, and it sort of makes sense because Cena's like, all right, I'm gonna do for me now. I've done for y'all for years.
yeah,
It's time for me to get mine. Like, okay, you can tell that story and get around with it. I don't know a lot about Travis Scott. I'm more of old school hip hop. I don't know a lot of his stuff, but like I don't know where he fit into that. And then him coming
me
out
either.
here and there, and I heard that they were obviously he's a draw. People they like his social media reach is humongous, and you know about the incidents at his concerts and stuff. Like he's doing just fine without my sport, but
Yeah.
uh, I don't know where he fit into that, and that kind of throws a little bit too. But I think a little ill timed, and then it's kind of hard to boo a heel when they're speaking the truth. You know, heels are supposed to lie, and
Yeah.
Cena's just out there telling the truth, and it's kind of hard to hate on that.
Yeah. I tend to sometimes just uh block out all the other stuff. And I'm like, I just watch the wrestling for wrestling. It's like, okay, I know, I get where they're coming from. I try to
Hmm.
like with the storylines and everything. I'm like, look, I know I'm supposed to boo this person. I'm gonna boo him just because I know that's what I'm supposed to do. But then again, that's the former professional wrestler in me. I'm always going to
Hmm.
be a worker, whether it's
Yeah,
in the fans or in the ring.
yeah.
Um, but I want to ask real quick, how did
But
you like find professional wrestling?
you want to talk about like what my first memory of falling in love with it is, or getting into training and stuff?
Falling in love with it?
Okay, I can tell you exactly when. So my dad had brought home. I think the statute of limitations is gone on this. So young bucks back in the day, there was a thing called pay-per-view, and you may know somebody who could hook up a VCR, and it was a cassette, and they would record that pay-per-view, and then you kind of traded among people.
Oh,
So
tape
my,
trader.
yeah, so they're not the most legal way. So my dad had brought home a copy of Super Brawl 2, and it was 1992, and it was that pay-per-view sitting down and watching it with him. And there's some phenomenal matches on there that still up to this day, like Brian Pillman and Jushin Thunder Liger is amazing. I think the Steiners had a pretty solid match. But
Hmm.
what got me was the story that was told throughout the whole show. I had never seen Sting before, but they're
Okay.
talking about this guy, Sting, and his best friend, Lex Luger, had betrayed him for the money, and he was now the champion. And they're kind of building it up. And then I think, if memory serves, I think Luger actually came out first in that match. And then Sting came out, which is unheard of. So you see Luger come
Quinn,
out,
be
and he
calm.
is big and jacked, and Ventura and the guys are talking about how much muscle he's put on. He's training with Harley Race, and Harley Race looks hard as a coffin nail. And you're like, who's a Sting guy? There's no way he can win. But then the pyro hits and the music, and you see the face painted guy come out. He's screaming. And when Sting won, I lost it as a kid, and I was hooked from that moment on. So Sting was my gateway drug, if you will, to this
Hmm.
addiction that is wrestling. And he will forever be, for me, on my Mount Rushmore of wrestlers because I just absolutely love Sting. I used to try to do a Stinger splash, but unfortunately, I ain't got the vert. So it turned into a Vader quarter splash, which is okay because he's to me the best big man of all time. So uh, yeah, that's what got me into wrestling was that, and then from there it was we grew up poor, so we didn't have cable. It was all WCW, Saturday
Hmm.
night main events and things like that, and then getting tapes when we could, rentals and watching them and going from there. So yep, it all started with Super Brawl.
I I always ask people that question,
Mhm.
but I can't remember like what was the first match or why I even turned like because all I remember was old school when you had to turn the channel, you had to
Hmm.
press the button.
Hmm.
There was no
Yep.
remotes, kids.
I think
And
ours had a little click, click, click dial on the
oh,
old school.
and I can't remember if I think it was when Shawn Michaels kicked Bret Hart when he was in the wheelchair. Like to
Mm.
me, that's the first thing that I remember about professional wrestling.
Yeah.
But then since I've started watching old school wrestling matches, now everything's
Hmm.
kind of intertwined, and I'm like,
Yeah.
was that when or was
And
that?
you take a couple bumps and you get a little older, the brain ain't what it once was. But I will say it's for growing up for me, like the WWF was that ethereal wrestling realm that I didn't know a whole lot about that I
Hmm.
only saw on VHSs I'd get from time to time. Or I had a buddy growing up named Jason Scholl, was one of my absolute best friends, and he was also a wrestling fanatic, but he was a WWF guy. So we would talk about these wrestlers and who's this and who's that?
Hmm.
Papa Shango, tell me more. And we would kind of go back and forth, and we'd sit down and write down like we try to quiz each other and write down all the wrestlers we knew, all their finishers. We would sit and jam out to the entrance themes CDs and stuff like that. Like I would
Hmm.
play Yokozuna's on repeat or Undertaker's because those were goat entrances for me back then. Like I just love those. So yeah, it's funny, man, growing up with that. It is cool that it's kind of coming around and you see the younger generation, I think, really picking up on wrestling again.
Yeah. Hold on. Cat decides he wants to be a part of this. Oh,
Oh, there we go.
this is Quinn. He's probably
Hello,
gonna
Quinn.
jump down. But I also tell people because the match that made me want to become a professional wrestler was The Undertaker versus Mankind in the Hell in a Cell. And I don't know
Mm,
why it was that match because I was just like,
yeah.
he threw him off of a cage.
Hmm.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
Now that I'm older and I know it's like I would never want to do that ever, but
No.
for some
No.
reason that was the match that got me so enthralled. I was like, I want to do this when I grow up.
Man, I hated Cactus Jack, Mankind, all those guys because he was always beating up my favorites. So when he was
Yeah.
Cactus Jack, he's beating up Sting. And then of course Cactus Jack and Vader were both beating up Sting. And I was like, well, I hate these guys. But Vader was my just I hated him as a kid because he was always beating up Sting and breaking his ribs in the King of Cable match or whatever. And then he goes to the WWF, and the first time I saw him was Mankind. And him
Hmm.
and I think it was the Boiler Room Brawl was the first
Yeah.
one I had seen. And I think he won the Boiler Room Brawl. And I was like, who is this guy beating the Undertaker? I hate him. But fast forward many years later, I actually have had several interactions with Mick Foley, and he couldn't be a better, nicer guy. And he's truly a good dude.
The first time I ever met Mick Foley, I was in Korea because I was in the
Hmm.
military and whatnot. And he was just there, like going visiting troops and everything. And he had came through the gate, and I was like, You're like,
You're hip.
granted, I couldn't like fan out as much as I wanted to because I was at work and he was sitting
Hmm.
in the car with an officer. I was like,
Hmm.
You're Mick Foley.
You're like,
And
hold
that
on.
that that was an amazing, like it was just a brief, and that was the only time I ever met him. That was just a brief interaction, but he was extremely super nice.
Yeah.
Um, and then he did it, have a good day. I was like, I will now. And then I
he
got off work and went drinking.
Yeah, my interaction with him was pretty serendipitous and pretty crazy. So my ex was a fan of his, not because she was a fan of wrestling, but he reminded her of her father in a lot of ways, like the same spirit and everything. And he had long since passed. So she bought us tickets to his comedy show in Jacksonville. And we're sitting at a table. That's my old football number. The other people didn't show up, so it's just us. We're front and center. And he looks at us. He goes, "You guys on a date to my show?" We're like, "Yeah." He goes, "You're both fans?" Like, yeah. He's like, "Yeah." So he just kind of laughs it off. Well, he goes on to tell the story about when he would listen to music, and
Hmm.
Kane came up to him and was like, "I got to know what this guy's listening to." And turns out it was a song called "Winter" by Tori Amos. So he starts singing it, and my ex started singing it. And then he goes, "Do you want to come on stage and sing this with me?" She's like, she's a singer. She's like, "Oh, of course." But here's the kicker. Winter is the song that she sung at her dad's funeral. So
Wow.
now she's on stage singing the song she had sung to her dad when he passed, to a father figure like guy that she had, liked, enjoyed. And it was just
Hmm.
this whole thing. And then afterwards, he was like, "Guys, please come up. Don't cut off any, kids, but please come up to the merch table, say hello." Then he actually gave us some free merch, which, if you know the frugality of one Mick Foley, I was like, "He gave us merchandise," but it could have been cooler. And then I told him that story many years later at a benefit show, and he was like, "Man, that's real cool." And we just talked for a little while and chopped it up. So he is truly one of a kind, a good dude. And even like, I want to say my first interaction ever was with Ric Flair. So
Hmm.
I was at a wrestling camp in high school. Wrestled amateur, and we're at a Granby camp up in Virginia Beach, I believe it was. And my little brother is actually wrestling Reed, his son, who has unfortunately passed.
Okay.
And Rick was there, and Daryl was says honestly mopping the floor with Reed. Daryl's very good. My brother ended up being a couple time All American at Kennesaw State and stuff. So
Okay. Nice.
uh, so he's mopping the floor with him, and Rick is getting hot. And I was like, "Oh man, I'm not gonna get my chance. Rick's gonna storm out of here mad and everything." Couldn't have been further from the truth. There's probably like 100 kids there. He waited. Any kid that wanted to say hello, he would say hello to. I've got his autograph on some half-torn piece of paper around here somewhere. He signed autographs, and I go up to him like, "Mr. Flair, can I have a chop, please, sir?" He's like, "Oh, I can't do that, kid, but I'll sell you." And I was like, "Okay." So that was my first real experience with a wrestler, and he couldn't have been nicer. So especially given some of the stories that come out today, it's kind of
Yeah.
a shame. But this these earbuds, I tell you.
My fiance has the same issue. Like her ears, I guess she says, is too small. So no
Mhm.
matter what the earbuds are that I give her, like, let's listen to this together, she literally has to hold it in her ear or it's gonna
the,
pop out.
the problem is you're making me smile too much on here talking to you. I've seen you in a while, so it's popping out because of the smiles and stuff.
Um,
But
who was your, oh, I would guess you would say Sting was your favorite wrestler growing up, right?
yeah, it was Sting and Taker. Once I learned of Undertaker, and then we had the WWF arcade style game,
Hmm.
and then we had the Tombstone. It was very awesome to me, but like it was very arcadey. What was it called? Was it WrestleMania? What was the arcade game?
Because they had a few. Was it the one where they had like Yokozuna, Bret Hart, and they could do like
Yeah,
Yokozuna would
and
hit you
Doink.
with a ham hock or something like
y-
that?
Yeah, Doink had the big hammer, and he had like the
Yes,
hammer
yes.
shock and stuff. Yeah, that one. Yeah, I mean, I played him previously. I want to say in some of the other Sega games. I don't know if
Hmm.
those are not because I grew up playing those games, but that game too, just that, and then you see a couple VHS. So growing up, it was Sting and Taker. Those were my dude. Sting first, he's number one, but then followed behind that, especially when you start watching them later, it ended up being Taker.
See, my favorite growing up was The Undertaker and Rey
Mhm.
Mysterio. Like,
Ooh.
I don't, I understand why Rey Mysterio was always my favorite because
Hmm.
I was always a fan, like just the luchadors and masks, and
Hmm.
his style was so intriguing. I never
Hmm.
understood why I like The Undertaker so much, but I feel
Hmm.
like that is a lot of people's favorite. But I think it's because it was different than like what was going on
Yeah.
in wrestling at that time.
Do you think maybe subliminally it's because he kept getting up and people just could just see themselves that? Like, you know, he getting how hard he got hit. He just stood up. He kept getting up. He kept getting up. And you're
Maybe.
like, okay, well, let's play this game then. For you, who is your Mount Rushmore character, your wrestlers? Your four dudes. Not,
Oh,
not, 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 for the business, but for CT himself.
um, shit. Man, now I put on the spot. Rey Mysterio,
Okay.
because of like they've always been luchadors, but then his introduction just
Hmm.
catapulted like people into
Hmm.
that like luchador mind frame. Um, I would have to say the Undertaker just because it the Undertaker's the Undertaker. Fuck. Jesus, Jesus Rodriguez, just because,
Oh yeah.
yeah, because, and he's always going to be on my Mount Rushmore because he trained
Hmm.
me, and
Hmm.
he has a crazy mind for professional wrestling,
Hmm.
like, and no matter what he could like articulate, this is how you're going to do it, boom, boom, and he
Hmm.
can make anything make sense. And
Yeah.
then I would have to
Well, real
say,
quick, if I can put over Jesus a little bit with you, love that guy. So originally I trained with Dory Funk Jr. That's what got me training and everything like that. And then started getting in the ring a little bit with Jesus, and I call him the king of fuck you style. And to this day, because people are like, all right, you take my wrist, you want to do this? Fuck you. He slapped that. I was like, okay, okay. He's like, he made it like a little more realistic with some of those stuff. Like he can do all the lucha things, but if you wanted to get gritty, he showed you how to get gritty. It's like take a headlock. You want to do this? Nah, fuck you. And he'd move you. And you're like, so I always call him the king of FU style. And quick shout out to Jesus. I mean, where he's come from where he's been, and I think he's got three legacies going on and everything out there
yeah,
now. He's
3LW
traveling.
in
Yeah,
Hershey, Pennsylvania.
that sounds about right. And getting back into it and stuff. So big congrats to Jesus and all that he's done.
But then my last one I would have to say is Stone Cold
Stone Cold.
because like wrestling was it was more popular, I would say, back in the day.
Hmm.
But when Stone Cold finally became Stone Cold,
Hmm.
that took wrestling like to a different
Oh yeah.
stratosphere.
I had
And
never seen people wrestlers on TV Guide and things like that until Stone
yeah,
Cold came along and set off the Attitude Era.
and like all you need to hear is the glass breaking.
Hmm.
Everybody's like on their feet.
Yeah.
Kids, like
Hmm.
super young kids now, they hear that
Yeah.
glass. Ah!
Oh yeah. So it's
So,
funny, Stone Cold. I wonder if it ever feels bad for some of the current day wrestlers because I've had this once where I was working a show, and Dudley's boys were on the show,
mhm,
the twins, and everyone's getting their little pops, but there's a point where the guys were beating on him, and then it was a surprise. Devon came out, and the
mm,
place erupted, and that's when you know there's over, and then there's
yeah.
over. So I wonder if some of these guys, because they get their pops, but nothing is like that glass break. So what if you're in the back and you're someone you hear and you go, oh, that's over on that one. No, Stone Cold would probably be on my Mount Rushmore as well. I even in high school started calling myself Stone Clover here in Austin, and we had a backyard wrestling thing. My brother would do on a trampoline, and I did like a modified stunner. I think someone uses it now. You get them on the shoulders and flip them over, and then do it like a stunner. It's kind of like a
Oh, okay.
TKO, but you take it to a stunner.
Mm,
Um,
maybe.
and I don't know, but so yeah, I'm with you on Stone Cold on that. And I wonder who'd be my fourth because obviously it's
Yeah, so I was
Taker.
about to ask you as well.
Yeah, it's Taker, Sting, Stone Cold. Who is a guy that if I saw the match, I had to watch it? Hmm. Can I cheat and say a tag team?
Go ahead.
The Steiner brothers. If I
Nuts.
saw a match that the
Mhm.
Steiners were on, I was watching it. And to this day, I'm still a little jaded at my little brother because we're too old now. But I was like, man, because we're both wrestlers, and so
Yeah.
we could have been the new Steiner brothers. We could have been out there having
Uh,
fun and doing them. Now the Creed brothers, I think, are taking that and running with it.
yeah.
But yeah, if I
See,
watched, go ahead.
go ahead. Oh, no, I was gonna say you go ahead.
But yeah, I'll say with the Steiner brothers, I'm watching their matches now, and it seems like he's finally getting some of the respect he deserved. But like
Mhm.
Scott Steiner is a freak in that
Yeah.
ring. What he could do, his athleticism between the Frankensteiners and the 450s, and all that stuff. The moonsault with the guy holding the guy off the top rope, like that was Steiner that started that, as far as I know. And I mean, just insane and being so jacked. And then Rick being the bulldog, the dog face gremlin, just loved that tag team. I love tag team wrestling anyway, but like they're one of my just if I saw Steiner's, I'm watching that match.
Because my brother used to be a wrestling fan uh with me. And I
Hmm.
always would think it's like, yeah, me and him could be a tag team. And I think he started to hate wrestling after I started just,
Hmm.
hey, let me try this move on you. And then
Yeah.
just putting him in sharpshooters. My favorite thing,
Hmm.
especially when he would make me mad, is I would put him in a dragon sleeper, but instead of like
Oh, the Dragon
having
Sleeper, Ultimo style,
well,
huh?
but instead of having his neck in my arm, I would put my
Hmm.
armpit on in his face, and I would
Yeah.
just crank back, and he just have sweaty armpit just on his nose and mouth. That's probably my fault why he doesn't like wrestling today.
Dude, people talk about aura in wrestling. Ultimo Dragon, the first time I ever saw him on WCW, I think he was introduced and he had, I think, 9 belts on him. And
Yeah.
he's got all of his belts and he comes out. I want to say Ono was with him and he's got some belts. And I'm just like, what is this? Who is this guy? And then he goes in there and just him and Dean Malenko tear the house down, match after match after match. That dude was something else. He's one of those
Honest,
guys you see like him and Liger where you're like, I just wish I could have had one with him.
I think the WCW Cruiserweight division was by far the best thing in wrestling, period.
It does not get the respect it deserves.
Not at all.
Those
Like
matches were insane.
it's like the WCW cruiserweights, and then like the old school X division, like when AJ
Hmm.
Styles, Christopher Daniels, and all of them were in there. Like
Hmm.
those, because I mean they were pretty similar, I would say.
Yeah.
But those two, like they get not the near amount of respect that they deserve.
Mm-mm. That whole
And
division kept WCW going for a while. Like,
mhm,
and when you could start every show, every pay-per-view with a banger opener with a cruiserweight match, that took over the old, Mark Marrow spot. And he started every show, but Johnny B. Bad would get over and he'd have fun out there. But then it became the cruiserweights, and those guys were. It's not to sound like an old grumpy man. Now, I think some people do too much these days,
mhm,
but they would do enough and it would make sense. Like if you're doing a suicide dive, they're going to take fall down. They're selling it. They're working it, and they're just the snap on some of those moves. Like I said, but Benoit with his snap suplexes, or the way Mysterio would snap into a Hurricane Rana, or the tilt-a-whirls from like Eddie. Like these things, they just were so crisp and so quick and so high impact. The cruiserweights were it for many, many, many years. And guys like, I mean, Jericho gets some of those flowers these days, but like, just look at others like the Psychosis and stuff like that, Juventud Guerrera, all those dudes that were just insane and so much fun to watch. Those cruiserweights carried it for a while. I loved watching those matches. Those guys would get after it.
yeah.
I would say, you're talking about there's so much wrestling out there. I don't try to consume it all like I used to because unfortunately there's also a lot of bad wrestling out there. So what I do now, it's going to sound like the chef from Ratatouille. Uh, I swallow it like I spit the rest out. Like if someone says, "Hey, you have to watch this match," they're like, "Oh, this is a banger between Gunther and Sheamus and Drew McIntyre." Okay, I'm going to watch that one.
Mhm.
Or if it's like a high profile match with some people I know, like if I see that not controversial, Culture Inc. are out there doing something,
Shout out to Culture
and
Inc.
love those guys, love them. But if they're running some hot tag, I'm like, all right, let's give these guys a look, see what they're doing out there.